that this is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Princeton Zoning Board of Adjustment, which is being held on Wednesday, the 22nd of August, 2018 at 7:30 p.m. in the municipal complex. Pursuant to Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of the time and place of this regular meeting has been provided by prominently displaying the schedule of regular meetings on the official notice board in the municipal complex, and by transmitting a copy of the schedule to the Princeton Packet, Town Topics, the Trenton Times, the Trentonian, and to Comcast Cable of New Jersey, Incorporated. A copy was also filed with the clerk of Princeton. So I'll get Claudia to call the roll, and then I'm going to insert some comments before we go further.
Mr. Cohen?
Here.
Ms. Coulson?
Here.
Mr. Davidge?
Here.
Mr. Floyd?
Here.
Chairman Royce?
Here.
Mr. Shriver?
Here.
Mr. Tendamo? Mr. Valvanis?
Here.
Ms. Chen? Ms. Lambrose?
Here.
Thank you.
Good. Before actually we get down to some housekeeping, which we always do, I would just like to call your attention to the concept of an open public meeting and the responsibility that you as members of the audience and we as members of the board have as far as that meeting is concerned. People wishing to address cases which appear before us can do so by making their desire understood at the time that that case is presented. They can sign in on a sheet which is on the lectern, and then they will be called upon to make a statement to the board, which hopefully will be focused on zoning issues and not things like the beauty of the house or the color of the driveway and things like that, which we have no control over. The board will responsibly listen to what you have to say and to give you some indication of the compactness that we would like, because we have several cases every evening. We hope that you can get what you have to say in between 3 and 5 minutes of speaking to the board. You can be asked questions then by members of the board if they need any further clarity. Members of the board have a responsibility to make known any conflicts of interest that they have associated with them. And so, for instance, I do not or am not able to hear cases brought by Princeton University before the board because I have been employed by the university since 1960, and that would be a perceived conflict of interest even if it really isn't. So I would then hand over the chair to the vice chair of the board, bring myself down into the audience, and the board will run itself from then on. So the last thing is that for some reason this year people have been very enthusiastic about information that they have given to the board, and there's clapping of hands and cheering, and I'm afraid that that type of behavior in the meeting is not permissible. We're trying to be a proper legal process, and so we would appreciate that that doesn't happen. If it continues to happen, then we will have to ask people to leave. Okay? I'm sorry to make all of those statements before we do our homework, but there we are. We have now some minutes to look at. They're the minutes of the 27th of June of this year, and they were circulated to the board in their package. I think a revised version came around as well. if you know of any changes that are needed in these minutes, they should be made now. If not, I'd like a motion to approve as presented and a seconder to that motion. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move we approve the minutes.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a seconder?
I will second that.
So we have a motion, a seconder. And I think Claudia can just, will you call the roll on that?
Ms. Coulson?
Claudia?
Ms. Coulson?
Yes.
Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Shriver?
Yes.
Mr. Valvanis?
Yes.
Chairman Royce?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the next is a resolution of memorialization for 32 Markham Road, which carries the file number Z1818-615. Again, this was circulated. If you have any corrections that need to be made, I'd like you to make them now. If not, a motion to accept as presented and a second to that motion, and then our attorney will determine who is able to vote.
So moved?
We have a motion to approve, a seconder for the motion,
I'll second.
and a seconder for the motion.
All right, Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Coulson,
Yes.
Mr. Davidge,
Yes,
Mr. Floyd,
Yes.
Mr. Schreiber,
Yes.
Mr. Valvanis,
Yes.
Chairman Royce.
Yes. So the next one is 44 Morgan Place. The file number there is Z1818-585. Same procedure. It was circulated. If there are changes, we should make them now. If not, a motion to approve and a seconder for the motion. And our attorney will decide who can vote.
Moved acceptance?
So we have a motion to accept. Is there a seconder for the motion?
Second.
So we have a seconder.
Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Davidge,
yes,
Mr. Floyd,
Yes.
Mr. Schreiber,
Yes.
Chairman Royce.
Yes. The third of our cases is 78 Dempsey Avenue with the file number Z1818-610. Again, this was circulated with our package, and changes that are needed should be made now. If not, a motion to approve is submitted, and the seconder for that motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a seconder?
yeah, I'll second.
We have a seconder.
Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Coulson,
Yes.
Mr. Davidge,
Yes,
Mr. Floyd,
Yes.
Mr. Schreiber,
Yes.
Chairman Royce.
Yes. And so for the last of these resolutions, we have 23 Lay Avenue with the file number Z1717-552. This is fairly long, as was the case.
I move that we accept this.
We have a motion to accept as presented. Is there a seconder for that motion?
I'll second it.
And we have a seconder for the motion.
Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Coulson,
Yes.
Mr. Davidge,
yes,
Mr. Floyd,
Yes.
Mr. Schreiber,
Yes.
Chairman Royce.
Yes. Okay. So that's the busy work, and now for the moment you're all waiting for. We'll go and hear the new applications. The first of these is 374 Cherry Hill Road, and it carries the case number Z1818-619. If you'd come to the desk to make your presentations, I'll get Mr. Bridger to read the essence of his memorandum to the board into the minutes, and then I'll ask you to make your case. Mr. Bridger, you need
Mr.
to
Bridger
be
will
sworn in. I assume all the
Yes,
paperwork
the
is
noticing is in
complete.
order.
Is
The
that right?
board has jurisdiction to hear the application. Mr. Bridger will swear you in for the evening. Do you swear affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. The applicants, Michael and Elma Schmidt, are here for a C1 variance to permit the construction of a first and second floor addition, covered porch, deck, and patio, an exception to the required side yard setback, the setback to height ratio, and a side yard setback variance is also required for a proposed stormwater basin. Property is located in the RA zone, is subject to the use and bulk regulations in accordance with 10B 253, 255, and 246 of the former Princeton Township Land Use Ordinance. Existing single-family use is permitted as of right. Subject lot is non-complying with respect to the lot area. Required lot area is 4 acres. The existing lot area is 3.45. It's non-complying with regard to the 200 foot required frontage. The existing is 150.65 feet. And it's also non-complying with respect to lot width. The requirement's 200, the existing is 146. And the subject property is non-complying with respect to the minimum side yard requirement's 40 feet, the existing's 9.1 feet, and it's non-complying with respect to the building setback to height ratio, requirement's 1.5 to 1, existing's 1.88 to 1. Several variances granted in the past for this property in 1989, no case number, but a 40, they got a granted for a variance for a side yard setback, 40-foot required, 36 were proposed, and they were also granted a height to setback variance, 1.5 required, whereas 1.2 was provided. And variance to setback to height ratio and a side yard setback were granted to permit the construction of the 2-car garage along the, I guess it's the southern elevation of the subject property. The applicant is proposing to construct a 2-story addition on the southern elevation. The first floor will be comprised of a den, exercise room, and a nanny's flat. Second floor will feature bedroom quarters for the nanny flat and a meeting room over the existing garage. Additional improvements include the 3 air conditioner condensers and a covered porch. The addition will be constructed adjacent to the garage and follow the same setback as the garage. The project requires the following variances. The required side yard setback is 40 feet, the existing is 9.1. The proposed is 6 feet, and that's to the porch roof, side porch roof on that new addition. And the height to setback ratio, the requirement's 1.5 to 1, and the proposed is 3.79 to 1. The applicant's proposing to construct a deck and a masonry patio that will encroach into the side yard setback. Again, the requirement's 40, and the proposed setback is 22.6. And finally, there's a 20 by 47-foot stormwater basin located to the rear of the subject property, and that also is subject to the 40-foot required setback, and the proposed setback is 23.5 feet. I just asked the board to consider, if they are inclined to look favorably on this application, that a flat permit should be submitted confirming that the property is owner occupied. The proposed flat complies with the ordinance requirements, and that the 2 lots be consolidated. They've used, they're considered merged for zoning purposes in the area. Both lots is utilized to support the floor area and impervious coverage for the site. They've requested consideration under the C1. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to address them. Thanks.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Bridger? Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dino Spadaccini, on behalf of the applicant, Michael Elmer Smith, and try not to be redundant, Bridger did cover everything we spoke about in general, and it is consistent with what we're seeking in the board this evening. Just want to be clear, although there are existing variances,
shoot. Sorry about that. That helps. Thanks, Mr. Kyle. I think my voice was loud enough anyway. At least my wife tells me that. So, in any event, the variances are there now and existing. This property's gone through a number of previous applications and approvals, so it's not as if someone came in the still of the night, built something, and they're non-conforming. They're non-conforming. We believe they've been approved over the course of time. So with that said, the application as presented by Mr. Bridger is accurate. We are going to have 3 witnesses this evening, including our applicant who is here may or may not testify, depending upon if the board has questions of the applicant. So I don't know if you'd like to swear everyone in at one time, or if you would prefer.
By them
Sure.
for the record.
Why don't you come up as well, just so. Do you want me to identify them one by one?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
So Mr. Kyle's at the podium. Jim, why don't you state your name?
James Kyle, Kyle, professional planner.
Frank?
Frank Falcone, Princeton Junction Engineering, surveyor.
George Fett is our architect, and George will.
George Fett Architects in Hamilton, New Jersey.
Gentlemen, if you raise your right hand. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's, just in case there are questions.
Elmy Schmidt, I'm the applicant.
Okay. If you would all raise your hand, do you swear affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
I do.
Thank you.
We are going to start with Mr. Falcone this evening, Mr. Chairman, if that's okay. So, Frank?
Okay, I am going to start off with an exhibit.
Mr. Spadaccini, before Mr. Falcone begin, he has been accepted in the past as an
Right.
expert witness. I guess tonight he's testifying as a surveyor, not a
Correct.
planner.
That's
Yes.
correct.
All right,
We have a
so-
separate planner this evening.
All right, so would the board be willing to accept Mr. Falcone again as a expert witness in surveying?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Placing an exhibit on the easel. I guess we'll call this A1.
Call it A1, please. And identify it.
A1 is the overall property, both lots 3 and 6. Separate lot 3 here, lot 6, block 3901. As you can see, it's a very long, narrow property, very unique. This exhibit basically is to show structures within the 200-foot radius of the property and in proximity to what we're doing. Very small in yellow here is the addition. Here's the existing house. I'm going to immediately go to exhibit, what I'll call exhibit A2, which is basically the same plan, but on a much larger scale. And what we have here is a 3.54 total acreage property, existing house in brown, existing driveway. It's actually, this is the proposed deck. We have an existing in-ground pool and a walkway. And basically, it's lawn area around the improvements, but the remainder of the site is wooded. It's pretty mature wooded. And it has some mature wooded down the property line in the front. But the application before you is for an addition of a covered front porch and a building addition here. As Derek Bridger pointed out, we have a 6-foot side yard to a new proposed covered porch here. It's actually 6.5 to the overhang, but to the physical porch, it's 6. The existing structure now is 9.5 feet off of the property and also 9.1 at the back corner. We are going to maintain that 9.1. So basically, it's just pushing that existing side of the building to the rear. Our project architect will talk more about the building. We have a proposed deck and a proposed patio. That will be 22.6 feet off the line. I will say that there's an existing deck patio here now that's actually 16 feet off the line, so it's a closer. So we're actually going to pull that back away from the right sideline. We have proposed a stormwater management. There's approximately 3,300 square feet of additional impervious area, and to manage that additional impervious area, we have proposed a 20 by 47 underground detention facility. It will not be seen. It will be grass on top. No trees need to be taken down to accomplish anything that we're doing here. So with that said, I will take any questions that anybody might have.
The water retention facility is a tank, a porous tank or something?
It's actually basically a dry well, large stone in the ground with a manhole for maintenance purposes, but that would be the only thing visible, would be a manhole at the surface. Be lawn area on top.
Since you mentioned trees, I did notice two very mature trees right on, seemingly on the property line, and I wondered if they would be...
They're going to stay.
Sorry?
They are going to stay. Actually, there are two trees that are actually encircled by the existing deck. I believe they're going to have to come down as part of the proposal. They are in the existing deck now behind the house. But the two large trees, I know the two you're talking about, they will remain. And just to elaborate on the stormwater a little bit, it was almost impossible to get it behind the setback lines because we would have to alter the existing walk in the pool area, and that just didn't seem practical at this point. Again, it's underground, it won't be seen, so I don't see that as a detriment in any shape or form.
And the terminal moraine boulders there are not going to impair putting it in there?
I did see them out there. I know, I understand what you're saying, but anywhere you're building, especially in this particular area of Princeton, you're going to hit some boulders. It's just part of construction in Princeton. You really can't determine how large they are. Some are as big as cars. Some are 2-3 feet in diameter. I did see some on the surface, but they will be dealt with.
I have nothing further, Mr. Chairman, unless the board has any questions, and Mr. Falcone's not going anywhere. He'll be...
So why don't you continue?
Yeah, we will, absolutely. George. George, very quickly, before you get started, could you please state credentials for the record? Education, licenses, you don't have to go crazy.
University of Arkansas, Bachelor of Architecture 76, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Florida, and I've done work in 5 other states also.
And you're ready to appear?
Talk into the microphone if you could, A, because it needs to be recorded, and B, because I can't hear you if you don't.
Okay.
You regularly appear before boards such as
Oh,
this?
yes, yeah. I've been before this board in Princeton, across the street several times, Princeton Borough, and all the other townships in Mercer County and others.
I offered him as an expert in architecture, Mr. Chairman.
I think that's fine.
Thank you.
I just wanted to go over the first
Let's mark this as A3 and identify it, please.
pencil, please. Thank you. Might need help here. Whatever. A3. Yeah. This is a little a plan of the sequence of additions. This was the original, this part, and we're not sure about this, but this was around 1960. This was done in 89, and this part here, the garage, was done in 99, and that's, my firm did this garage addition. This little piece right here was added in, we don't know when, but this part has a very shallow basement. It's not even 6 feet. I don't remember. I think there's just a crawl space under here, and we're probably just going to have a crawl space here to minimize the excavation. But all these additions were 1, 2, 3, 4. So this would be the fifth owner. So each client or each owner had different needs at different times. So that you know, it started here, went over here, and now it's coming this way. A4, yes. So, this is the first floor plan, and just, this is the outline of what's existing. This was the original, let's say, first edition, and then we did the garage, and now we're going to do this area back here. We're going to add this front porch so that we can tie the garage entrance. You can come this way, and then the main entry. So we're just going to have a large entry here, a coat closet. This will be the breakfast area and kitchen, living room and dining room. And we have a circulation hallway to get to a den, an exercise area, and then we have a nanny suite in the back. And the nanny suite also has a separate entrance. And the deck is back in here. You can see that much better on the site plan.
You can go to the next one, sure.
Want to mark this one?
This one is going to be A5.
E5.
This is the second floor.
Yes.
And that is the second floor?
Yeah, this is the second floor plan. This is our stair. You come up from the entry up the stair, and we have we have the 4 bedrooms, and we have a master bedroom. And the bedrooms are basically staying where they are. We're redoing the bathrooms. We're sort of update them, and we're doing a master suite with a new master bath and a walk-in closet. You know, some of these older houses have not enough closet space for what people need today. This is the second floor of the nanny suite. This is like an open area. This is the nanny's loft, or where her bed would be, the nanny bathroom, and a little bit of a washer and dryer and a small closet area. This is the roof area. This is the stair that comes from the first floor up to the area above the garage, which will be a media room. I think that's, and then, I'm sorry, in the back off the master suite, there's a master patio.
On
I
to
think
the
so,
next?
yeah.
Sure. This will be A6.
Yes, A6.
Is that a front elevation?
I'm going to take these other two.
Yeah, sure. That is the front elevation?
Yeah. This is the front elevation, and this is the right side. In the front, it's basically untouched, except for this, the porch which goes on, and we're going to create the new entrance. And we're filling in a little piece right here, which creates that master closet. On the right side, you just have the side, but you know that's pretty far off there. Just new windows, and these are new doors in the back of the living room and dining area. And then this is the right side elevation of the nanny suite, where she would have exit or access to the deck. That's it. A7. 7. And this is rear and left side elevation. this is the rear elevation. This is the existing part, and this is existing, and this is the new little deck off the master bathroom. We're going to put these doors that open, they fold open, and then this is the back of the nanny suite. Just so you can see, that's the outline of the garage in the front. And what I did is I lowered this slope so that we wouldn't get too high. On the side which faces the left, as you look at the site plan, you can see the stairs which goes up to the new porch. We have just a pair of doors that come out of the garage, windows for the den, the exercise room. We do have some skylights. This is the side entrance for the nanny's area, and a couple windows on the upper part. I think that's it. It pretty much goes over everything.
I have a few, just a follow-up question, if you will. Can you talk about the internal configuration and why you designed this the way you did and what the challenges were, and as a result, why we're here seeking a variance due to the location?
Let's see. Well, let's go back to the...
Yeah, what plan is that?
That's that first, to the first floor plan.
A3?
That's A4.
A4, okay.
Just to go over the outline of the existing, this keeps everything very compact. If you're here, you can see what's going on. We did create this circulation corridor, and we look back here, but that's where you're going to want to sit and look. You can see the pool, so to put an addition back here really didn't make much sense. And there's also another little problem, but every problem can be resolved, but this isn't the greatest situation. When this addition was added...
What exhibit is that, George?
This is back to A7.
Okay.
When this addition was added, these two roofs come together, and I didn't show, but there's a big water scupper here and a downspout, so I would have to figure out a way to get all this water off. And if I build an addition high enough, I would have a bathtub up here, and that would really be, in wood construction, that's not really the best idea. So one of the things that were a big consideration is when we did this addition was to have all the water drain off, not using roof drains, but just everything drained the roof gutters. So that was one of our main goals.
I missed the point you're making. The rainwater drains how from the roof? Just precipitates off the edge, or you collect it in gutters and...
Yeah, I have a roof plan. I can add that.
Sure.
Yeah. This would be
A8.
A8.
This is the roof plan?
Yes.
I'll mark that.
Okay. The original roof, let's say, this was a gable that sloped this way and that way. Then we have the hip in the front. Then we have a gable here and a gable here, so we have this valley in the center. So all this water from this area runs to a scupper right there. Another thing that we had to address was this roof, and some of this water goes down here. There's a little gutter here now, so what we did is we picked that up with a flat roof, so this roof would drain off into here, and then this
It
drains out to a
onto
gutter.
the flat roof?
Pardon?
You mentioned a flat roof. You talk too much into the microphone. I have a job understanding you. So you've got gullies, and I thought you said that one of the gullies drained onto the flat roof. Is that what you said?
Yes, this roof here and some of this and this all drains onto this roof, which goes down to a gutter.
And there is a duct going from that point
Yes,
down to a pipe that takes it.
that takes it to the drainage area.
Okay, so it takes it, so there's no increased drainage onto the neighboring property?
No, that's all collected.
It's all funneled down to the holding basin? or
Yes,
whatever
correct,
you want to
correct.
call it, that you put in there.
Just to elaborate, the whole, I'll call it left side and the center will be picked up and taken to the basement. So
Yeah.
That would pick up any water flow that would go to that.
Yeah.
So just as you can see, this is a really complicated roof system. I tried to draw it in CAD 3D and I couldn't do it. So I did it the old way by hand, by 2D, and I figured it out, but it took a while. But, you know, because I just looked at the existing roof and all these little things that go on here. So this made this much simpler, and I was able to pick up this because I was worried about this area right in here. So all our water does drain off, it's all picked up and all goes to that collection basin.
We have nothing further from the architect, Mr. Chairman. Obviously, the board has questions, and yourself.
I have a question. Given this is a pretty extensive amount of work to this house, very significant, why did you choose to take the 46-plus foot addition and push it all the way to the left side, as opposed to some other reconfiguration that maybe took advantage of maybe some of the setback on the other side of the house? I mean, you're reconfiguring with everything in the house with the exception, it appears to me, the living room and the entrance. And, but you've got this whole addition up against the side of the property line. Did you consider possibly doing some work on the other side of the house?
We did look at that. Let me go back to the first floor plan.
And that is Exhibit
Say to it.
A4. We have our windows on this side, and we wanted to keep this side open, and this is where most of the living will be, let's say this area and this, and the deck. And we wanted to keep that side open. And these are more, let's say, closed areas. You know, you use the exercise room, maybe not every day, the den, maybe not every day. So these are things that are requirements, but we felt that would be in the way on this side. So it was just best to kind of put everything right in here. So this would be like more of the living zone, and this is more of a private or secondary zone.
Well, I understand the logic behind it. It's just, my concern is you've got this big box, you know, very close to the property line, and that's a concern. That was it. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'd like to, can we see the site plan again? Because on the drawings we have, it doesn't show the new house that was constructed to the left that they are showing on your plans.
Yes,
The house is
I
on,
used an older topographic survey when I prepared the initial plan, but I went to the engineering office and got and got the plan of the house that was actually built. So this plan represents the location and the exact size of that house.
So one thing I observed was that the air conditioning units are now pushed out closer to the property line. Because they're currently kind of behind the garage, and now they're shown here to be over here, even closer to the, right along the pathway. Goes on the side.
Yeah, we can put the air conditioning units back in here, and we can tuck them in right in the back.
Better location and get it, and putting them right on.
I still think that the width of the extension you've added on what is the left side of your picture, there is a pair of doors in the existing garage structure, I suppose it is, and looking at it, it would seem to me that one could almost narrow that section so that it picked up that 6 feet and ran all the way back with that diminished width.
I'm not sure if I understand what you're...
Well, you're right up against the property line, and that's very undesirable.
Right. Well,
And there's, at the back of the garage, if I remember correctly, there are 2 opening doors.
Correct.
And they are probably 6 feet wide. And if your extension back to the Nanny 2 level thing was 6 feet narrower, it would give that additional clearance between the building and the property line, which might be very desirable.
Shrinking the 1-story by 6 feet.
Well, it would, let me go back to the first floor plan.
Just check. You've got a 2-story thing at the far end, the top of your picture.
Right, that's
for
the
the
best piece.
Nanny suite.
Correct.
But that other suite, you've got one part which is a circulation part, which I assume is open. Why don't you just cut the bring the left-hand wall in between the garage and the Nanny thing by 6 feet? Just go straight back from the garage to the Nanny flat.
You're saying just come back
Like that, yes.
right there?
Yeah.
Our exercise
It
room and
still
our...
leaves you a reasonable sized exercise room, unless you're having an Olympic team practicing or something.
Chairman, are you only referring to that midsection, not the 2 bookends, if you will, the current garage and the rear section? Or are you referring?
Just this little piece right here.
Just this piece?
Just the piece with the flat roof on.
In the middle.
Just take 6 feet out of that. That gives you an additional 6 feet clearance from the neighbor's side yard.
Well, we still need this hallway for access, and rather than bumping these rooms up into here, we wanted a buffer between this space and this space. I mean, we could look at it, but we've bumped this back and forth, and this was what we came up with.
Well, I mean, you're building the biggest thing you can get in that piece of space, yeah.
Correct.
Which is maybe nice, but it also violates the side yard setback most extravagantly.
Yeah, I wish we could push the whole house over 6 feet, would help us all, but just
Yeah,
can't do
okay.
it. Yeah,
Let's leave it at that.
Just makes it really tough.
Mr. Fett, is there any reason, as the chair was asking, are there any stair issues or getting to the second floor that...
microphone, please?
I'm sorry about that, Mr. Cohen. Are there any impediments to the chair's suggestion, I guess is the question. As far as access to the second floor, stairwells, and the like.
Yes, one of our problems is we have this stairwell. This is the first floor. Let me go back to the second floor.
Yeah, the second floor, the stairwell goes halfway across the garage.
I'm just asking, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, so
Because-
that won't, that's, losing that 6 feet won't affect that.
Yeah, we do have a little bit of room here. I tried a couple of different ways, and it's from the ground level up to that garage, the media room, it's 14 feet, so that takes,
Yeah.
I need a
Well,
big stair
maybe
around.
we're recycling this comment too much, so.
I have nothing further to this witness, Mr. Chairman. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I understand your comment, but we're talking about some, redesigns to the plan. Do you have a concern for just the nature of the addition? I mean, given its location? I mean, the bigger issue is the fact that everything is pushed to, in my opinion, is everything's pushed to one side.
Yeah,
And I can understand you have,
but the garage
you have an
exists
existing
already.
garage.
So
Yes.
I was thinking that if you push at least part of it, that goes back from the garage to the two-level granny flat, or nanny flat, you've at least made an attempt to.
Well, I mean, but it's a 40, I mean, I'm just concerned because it's now you have the garage, which is 28 feet, and you have 46 feet of new addition. So you've got a wall that's, what, 70 feet? 9 feet from the property line, and you've got 42 feet on the other side of the property. It's just a concern.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're saying you would prefer that the.
Well, I would just think
could be
that
put
that
on the
rather,
other side. I agree that it
it's,
could.
I understand it's an awkwardly shaped site, and, it has
Yeah.
a lot of restrictions to it. But, again, and the fact that the garage was approved a number of years ago, and that exists, and that's fine. But, this sort of further exacerbates that situation with the garage crowding the left-hand property line.
Yes, I agree. But
Okay.
it seemed to me to be a partial compromise to getting what you wanted.
Okay.
I would just think that if you were going to go that far, you would say, could the nanny suite go over that far as well? 'Cause I almost wonder what
Yeah,
good it would do to put a little chunk in, I mean,
Yeah.
so could that be done as well? Maybe you didn't hear what I said. It almost looks like there might be a little space there in the back. I'm not sure what that gap is.
This was
Yeah.
this is our hallway. I mean, this could be slid over a little bit. We could reduce this a little bit, but, if we start to reduce too much, then we're really, it's getting a little tougher
We
what we
shouldn't
want to
be
do.
trying to design a house for
Yeah.
you.
No, we're not.
Exactly. You're making a proposal to us. And we're trying to ask questions to understand why you're doing what you're doing.
Absolutely, and we're also trying to read tea leaves, Mr. Chairman, so I appreciate your well-thought questions.
I have a comment. So the nanny idea, though, the concept would be you want it to be on that side because it's closer to the bedrooms? Is that, if you put it on the other side, would it be too far away? I mean, was there also a consideration in that respect? as far
Yes,
as the
that
second
was,
floor?
yes, because it's closer to the children's bedrooms are up here.
Yeah, but can you access, the nanny doesn't have access to the second floor of the main house?
No,
from
not
the nanny
direct,
suite,
no.
correct?
No, not direct, no.
So I don't see how that consideration matters.
You're right. We kept it on this side because this is the more private side. That's the more public side, if you would call it.
So just to recast what you're saying, to make sure that I'm understanding it completely. you're making the argument that from a design perspective,
Yes,
the plan left is the quote-unquote quiet side of the house,
correct.
and plan right is the more active living space side of the house. So in designing this, you gave consideration to placing certain improvements on the quiet side of the house for that specific purpose, as opposed to trying to build within the building envelope.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
'Cause typically, when we design homes, you have the public or family spaces, and then you have the bedroom and the private spaces.
Understood.
Mr. Chairman, based on the questions that the board has, we'd like to be able to answer them. So at this point in time, we'd like to hear any and all comments that you have. And what we're going to do is we're going to stop the application at this point in time, go back and maybe reconfigure some things, and then come back to the board. But we'd love to hear any other comments, questions that you may have at this time.
Okay.
Have there been any discussions with it? I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. After you.
Sorry?
I'm sorry, I stepped on you. Go ahead, Mr. Royce.
Sorry?
I stepped on you by mistake. You were talking and I interrupted you. I apologize.
Doesn't make any difference. I don't take any notice. I just keep on talking.
Very good. Have the neighbors on the, again, plan left side of the proposal
I
been
believe the
consulted?
neighbor is here.
I believe they're here.
Whatever we do, we should ask him to give his opinion about.
That's fine, Mr. Chairman. We have no problem with that whatsoever. That way we can hear all input, sure.
Yeah.
Of course.
So you have finished what you want to present at this moment?
That's right, and we're going to carry this, and we may be revising the plan, but we're going to carry this and then come back at a later date.
Okay. So then, you would like to make some comments on this case. So we will need you to swear to be truthful, to give your name and address to our attorney, and then you can have your 5 minutes.
Mr. Adewale, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
Yes.
Thank you.
I have some copies of the presentation I'm going to make.
You can do that.
Can you hear me?
No.
So you move this?
Yeah, I'm the neighbor next door at 364 Cherry Hill Road, and my wife is here. So we have prepared a number of slides here. I'd like to give a copy of that to the members of the board, and I'll go through them very
Derek
briefly.
will do that for us. And you're going to plug your computer in, is that right? I suppose.
Barry, can I ask, I mean, given the fact that they are going to take a look at this again, do we want to really, I mean, these comments are probably based on the...
I want, yes, he wanted, I think, to make a comment about his concerns, but we discussed beforehand that it was really only zoning issues that you were going to talk about.
Yes, it is about zoning issues and on...
The microphone?
Yes.
And your 5 minutes is starting.
Well, if the technology doesn't work, then I might have to take a little longer. My basic point in my presentation is we came to the board for variance on our property, which is next door, and we were required to. We came with the initial design. They required only 4 feet of setback variance requirement, and it was unanimously rejected by the members of the board on the basis
We're
that...
not talking about your property, we're talking about his,
Yeah,
and
excuse
what
me.
your
No, I'm making...
concerns are
Yeah,
from
I'm
the
just...
zoning.
Exactly, I'm going to get to that point, if you give me a moment.
Yeah.
I'm here to make that point. I understand that, So my point is, we came here to make a variance application for the property next door, which has exact same shape and narrowness as this property.
says the property that applicant says is no unique than ours. So in that case, our application was rejected unanimously just because we had 4 feet of variance requirement by the board here. So my point here is, and I have that picture in my, if you go on the page number, if I can show you this demonstrates that there are 3 properties which have exactly same narrowness and the shape of the properties.
Yeah.
So they should be all subjected to the same variance rules.
We heard your case here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Many of the people are the same.
Pardon? Yeah,
Many
there
of
was,
the board members are the same.
So-
This was the township.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was heard by the township, not by a lot of
Yeah.
members of this board.
So we made an application in 2015 showing actually, there's a picture of this one on third page, which shows our violation of the variance requirement was about 3 to 4 feet on the setback line, not like 30 feet that the applicant requires. And we were asked to go back and redesign the property with a clear statement from the board. We are here not to give you the house that you want. We are here to only give you the house that can be built on the envelope that we have. Now that was a guideline, and all the members of the board unanimously voted for that. So we went back, we spent 6 months and a considerable amount of money to redesign our house that we could do it. So the situation we were in, we could not get a house that we wanted, but we had to design a house that could be accepted by the board. Now we are discussing the same issue here in terms of the applicant's application, because it has already a garage on the basis of which you are trying to get a bigger variance, a much wider side setback, now which is more than what we were asking. So what my question to the board is, why this is different for us, why it's not different here? Now, the issue here is...
That's not a zoning issue associated with this house. I mean, you're saying what? That the setback ratios are wrong, and that is
No,
what
I
you're
didn't say that.
concerned about?
What I'm saying is the setback requirement is 40 feet for both these lots. When we came in here in front of you, and we presented a design that required only 4 feet of variance requirement, and was unanimously rejected on the basis that you cannot have the home that you like. Instead, you can only have a home that will fit in the envelope that allowable. So on that basis, we were rejected, and we were given no option to make any small changes. In fact, we proposed that we could move the house a little bit to reduce our side setback, and it was rejected again by the board. So we went back. This is all in the minutes of the application. So we went back and redesigned. So the house that's in here now, if I borrow your drawing here. Now this is the house that we ended up designing. This is not the house that we wanted. And we are told we cannot have it the house that we wanted. So here is the same situation here. They would like to have proposed this addition, but it's too close to our property with a violation of 30 feet of side setback. Maybe they can put something more around this area, just like what we did. We used the narrowness of the property to go back rather than going the sideways. That's exactly what you meant by fitting in the profile. So that's what we did here. They can do the same thing here. And some discussion this afternoon was about using this space here. So it's all possible. So once we went back to look at the concerns that you raised, we could come up with a new design. So we're quite happy with what we have now, but it's not the house that we wanted. So I'm here to make that point to the board that given that this property is the exact same thing, it should consider the variance in the same manner. It cannot be different.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Is there anyone else who is here to address the case? Okay. So,
At this time, we have nothing further. We're going to regroup, take a look at our options. We've heard the comments from the board, and we will try and address those, and then
so
we...
you would like us to carry this case to
Yes.
a future meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bridger, probably, we've got a special meeting next month, haven't we? And a regular meeting.
So we have a regular meeting at the end of September. We have 4 cases, one of which is a site
Yeah.
plan. Then we have a special meeting on the 16th of October for the Sunrise application. Could possibly put it on that. I mean, we could throw you on the beginning of next month, but, you know, it's just, we have a full agenda.
And it's a short window. What would the date of that hearing be?
Claudia, sorry, was it the 26th, is
Oh,
it?
26, it would be.
It's either that or the 16th, and then, I mean, unfortunately, the October meeting, we already have 5 cases scheduled for, so it might be tough to get on that one.
My thought would be we carry until the 26th and then see where we are, obviously, in advance of that hearing, and we'll communicate. And if we're ready to come back, we'll come back, and then we understand, you know, you have agendas, and we'll have to work around that.
So you want to carry it to the 26th of September?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Derek,
Yes, sir.
when do we need drawings by, revised drawings by?
2 weeks before.
And if we obviously, if we can't make that, Mr. Cohen, we'll obviously get in touch with Mr. Bridger. He'll let you know.
No, it's fine.
You know, we're not looking to inconvenience the board by any stretch.
Okay.
And I just want to confirm no further notice will be necessary?
No, if it's carried to the 26th and heard, then you don't need to
Okay.
renotice.
Thank you, Ms. Casey.
Oh, Mr. Spadaccini, in the past, the board has asked that applicants, as a courtesy, send out a notice by first-class mail. So basically, it's your same notice, except you change the date and say now we're
No,
gonna
no
be in
problem.
place.
Happy to do so. And again, 10 days in advance, normal, but just regular first-class mail. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your time, members of the board. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, of course, I can't find any. All right. Okay. Good. So, the next case is 76 Linden Lane, which carries the case number C1818-626. And is somebody here to present that? Okay, good. So I'll get Mr. Bridger to read the memo into the record, and then I'll ask you to present your case.
Mr. Bridger, before you begin, I'll just note that the
Everything
noticing
is in order?
is in order. The board has jurisdiction.
Good.
Thank you.
So we can even legally do it.
Great. Well, the applicants, Jeannie and William Mark, are the owners of 76 Linden Lane. They're seeking a floor area ratio D4 variance and C1 and C2 variances to permit the construction of an addition, an exception to the required impervious coverage and combined side yard setback. Property is located in the R4 zone in the former borough, subject to the use and bulk regulations in accordance with 17A 253 and 258. The subject lot's non-complying with respect to the required lot area, which is 6,000 square feet. The existing lot area is 5,353 square feet. It's also non-complying with the required 60-foot lot width. The existing is 50 feet. and the property is non-complying with respect to the combined side yard requirement, which is 20, and the existing is 18.15. The applicant is proposing to construct a 14 by 37-foot addition over the existing first floor part of the house and the deck. This will contain a master bedroom suite. The addition will increase the existing degree of noncompliance with respect to the required 20-foot setback. The proposed setback is 18.15 feet, and it also slightly increases the impervious coverage. This is just a little bit around the deck area. There's like a ribbon of new impervious coverage from the second floor. The existing is 66.92, the required is 49.5, and the proposed will be 70.95%. And then finally, there's a floor area ratio. Proportional floor area in this zone is 44.3%, and the proposed FAR is 45.02%. It's technically a use variance, so 5 affirmative votes are required. He's requested C1 and C2 consideration for the setback variance and the impervious coverage variances. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to address
Do
them.
we have questions for Mr. Bridger?
Thanks.
All right, so if you'd like to
Mr.
make
Mark,
your
we need
case, you'll
to
need
swear
to
you
be
in. Do you
sworn.
swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
I do.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is William Mark. We purchased our home in November of 2013. The home consists of 2 sections. The first one is a main section that was built in the 1920s. The addition was built in 2001, and our plan is to build a bedroom on top of that over the addition and also the deck. During our feasibility study with our architect, we found the variances that Mr. Bridges has already discussed already. So the first variance that we're going to address, I think, is the side yard setback. Right now, it's a pre-existing non-conforming. It was built in the 1920s. On the left side of the house, we're not within 8 feet. It's already exceeding by 9 feet if you include the overhang. On the right side with the new addition, we're exceeding it by, it's 8.15 with the overhang. So I'm not sure what to do with pre-existing conditions like that. Do we have to?
No, the variance is for the new addition, so going up over the second floor increases that non-compliance.
Okay.
That's the variance. Sorry to interrupt you.
Sorry, no problem. That's something. The other variance would be the impervious coverage. I think the majority of the impervious coverage is because of the gravel driveway that we have. Stone and gravel is considered impervious. Is that something that's new, or is that something that's?
Yeah, no, it is. It's
Okay.
been impervious for, it gets compacted and it
Okay, and
acts
also
as impervious.
Okay. So I guess the counter to that argument, I guess, is if we were to remove the gravel from our driveway, potentially the stormwater would flood our basement because the way our house sits on a hill. And also on the rear of our house, we have on Maple Street 2 apartment complexes, and we're essentially on 3 sides surrounded by asphalt. In addition to that, I think by doing the new addition, we would enclose the deck, because in the backyard we have some old trees, and the surrounding area causes a lot of mosquitoes. So by enclosing the deck, I think we would enjoy a backyard a lot more. We wouldn't have to spray for pellet.
Well, the deck is open. It's a covered porch, correct? Excuse me.
Currently, it's not covered, but the
Well, it will
proposed-
be covered, so
Correct.
if it's got screening, it's not exempt from FAR, so that's why I ask, because the plan showed an open porch. So,
Okay.
just so we're
Okay.
on the same page.
Sorry, yeah, open porch. Well, it's screened in, but open still.
Can't be screened in.
Can't be.
If you screen it in, then you need to increase your FAR variance.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
Becomes FAR when it's not
It has
open.
to be a non-screened open.
It has to be an open porch with
Okay.
one side.
It will not be screened.
The mosquitoes are fairly low this year.
I'm sorry? Sorry, no problem. Also, to argue that we're in the positive criteria, I think that the slope of the roof is ideal for a future solar panel, which would coincide or correspond with the the bylaws for the zoning positive criteria. So that would be under number N, to promote utilization of renewable energy resources. So by doing the math, sorry, I have all this information in front of me. So the average home requires 9,000 kilowatts per year. On top of that, a solar panel can create 320 watts. So in our calculations, it would have to be around 28 solar panels. One solar panel is 17.6 square feet. So we'd have to have around 492 square feet of solar panels to create that amount of energy. So I'm not sure if that's a valid argument or not for positive criteria. That's essentially all the points I had to make my case.
So drainage of water from the property goes out to the street, is that right?
That's correct.
And it just goes into the curb?
For our backyard, it goes into the grass, obviously. For the gravel, it goes into the gravel at some point. It comes on off the gravel.
And what you're doing will not increase any water flow onto neighboring property?
No.
No.
Also, our home faces east. Sorry.
Are you changing outdoor lighting?
No, I think it'll be minimal because our home faces east, and our neighbor also faces east, so the sun will set north, east, and west. So
The lights are shining down. One of the concerns for urban areas is that lights from one house fall onto the property of next-door neighbors, and so on. So we would normally constrain lights, new lights, to be downwards, so you can't see the source of the light.
Okay.
And no light gets.
We can arrange for that.
Property line.
Yep, we can arrange for that.
So that would be, and then there's the not increasing any water flow.
Correct. Yeah.
I have a question. On your plan, this isn't a zoning question, but on your plans, I don't see any bathrooms on the first floor or the second floor. Is that a...
Is it the bathroom? Huh. The bathroom is behind the kitchen on the first floor. On the first floor, the bathroom is behind the kitchen.
And the second floor?
The second floor has no bathroom. It's going to potentially be on the... We decided to retain that first bathroom for now, and then at maybe some other point in time, creating the bathroom in the new addition.
Really?
Just because of cost.
Okay. And a question for Mr. Bridger. There's construction going on in the house to the left of this house. But did that come before us? Do you know?
No.
So there are no variances, no, okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Do vegetative roofs, have we dealt with those at all for dealing with stormwater? As far as mitigation for the additional runoff? They've got a low slope roof here, which could be a good candidate.
Like a green roof?
Yeah.
Yeah, we typically deal with that a lot more on commercial properties just because of the structural loads on the residential. I mean, from just a zoning point of view, the only addition to coverage he's adding is like a 1-foot strip around the existing deck. So, I mean, we could ask that the storm downspouts be directed away from the other properties, but unless you increase more than 400 square feet of new net impervious, it's not necessarily,
Okay.
I mean, he's going on top of an existing structure, so it's a good point, but I don't know if it will work with the design of the roof that he has here. And also, I don't know if the solar panels might conflict, but it's a good question. We do like to encourage green roofs. It just seems the cost and the structural, work that goes into it.
Sure. I saw the low slope roof, so I
Yeah.
thought I'd ask.
Yeah, great,
Because
good
if it's
question.
New construction, you don't need a lot of structural to hold 4 inches of soil.
Yeah.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this case? No? Oh. We need to discuss it more? Question? Do we have a motion or further comments?
I'm not sure how concerned we are about the impervious surface issue with the driveway, but I actually have noticed in your neighborhood a few years ago, I think across the street up at the intersection or behind the house, it's at the intersection towards Nassau, there's driveway that has like some kind of, it's kind of like brick or, I know it's not that, but it's like cinder block, it's perforated in a sense.
Grass growing in it
Yeah,
or something?
I don't know if that's something we feel we would need to recommend, but it might, but you said you were worried all the water was going to go in your basement.
Correct.
So the gravel is actually protecting your basement, do you think?
It is graded away from the house.
Oh, it's-
Yeah, the gravel is such that I could push it against the house at some point, so.
Okay.
It is from the 1920s.
Enough area there that it's
Yeah.
worth worrying about it.
Okay, I just thought it.
It's cumbersome to maintain for some. Any comments? Any motion? Any question?
I'll make a motion to approve the C1.
The C1?
Yes.
Okay. So we have a motion. Is there a seconder for the motion?
A second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Yes. So we have a motion and a seconder.
Mr. Floyd, when you said that, you were also moving the FAR variance too? They need that for flow area ratio. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Ms. Coulson?
Yes.
Mr. Davich?
Yes.
Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Mrs. Shriver?
Yes.
Mr. Valvanis?
Yes.
Chairman Royce?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so I guess we have our last case of the evening,
Bless you.
Bless
which is 246 Valley Road. And the case number... Oh, yes, the case number is Z1818616. So if you would come forward, I'll get Mr. Bridger to read his memorandum into the minutes. And I'm assuming, Madam...
Yes, the noticing is in order. The board has
everything's in
jurisdiction.
order.
Yes.
Sit down and be comfortable. You
Okay,
can be
so I raise
sworn
the
in
hand
when...
or something?
We can swear you now or after Mr. Bridger spoke. Mr. Bridger.
Thank you. The applicant, Feng Kuo Liu, is the owner of 246 Valley, seeking a C1 variance to permit construction of a two-story addition, exception to the required side yard setback. Property is located in the R6 zone in the former township, Princeton. It's subject to sections 10B 253, 255, and 246 of the former Princeton Township Land Use Ordinance. The subject lot's non-complying with respect to lot area. The requirement's 10,891 square feet, and it's 10,391. It's also non-complying with respect to the required 85-foot lot depth. The requirement are the existing 69.28. Subject property is not complying with respect to the required side yard setback as follows. 15 is the requirement and 9.51 is the existing. In 1971, the applicant was granted a variance to construct a 9-foot 9 by 33.6 inch addition to the rear of the structure. And the current proposal is requesting permission to construct this two-story addition to the rear of the existing single-family ranch-style house. The first floor of the unit contains a living room, dining room, wet bar, and a half bath, and the second floor contains a bedroom and a full bath. The addition will encroach into the required 15-foot setback. The variance was granted for 9.51. The proposed setback is 8.23 feet. And I'll just note that I'd like to the board to zero in on the use of this. At various times, it's been categorized in the application process as a flat or a second unit. A flat's permitted, but the parking won't work on the site. So I just asked the board to look into what the use of the property is going to be, and they've requested a C1 criteria.
Mr. Bridger, just to clarify, when you said a variance was granted in 71, it wasn't this applicant, it was the property, right?
Excuse me, yes, the
Okay.
property.
Okay.
It's the addition at the back of the house that's there now.
And now we'll get attorney to
All right.
swear you.
Ma'am, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Feng Qiao Lu. I'm the owner of 246 Valley Road. My application for the C1 zoning variance at the second floor on existing zoning permit already in 2015. My house has a two-bedroom house, maybe in my whole neighborhood, the smallest bedroom house in the neighborhood, only 2 bedrooms. The original addition, 1 bedroom, was not sufficient for my usage due to my family structure has been changed. I divorced in 2012. I remarried in 2016 in November. Here is my husband, Mr. Hafiz. He came from England. He's 74 years old. He cannot drive in a car here because England left, we are right. He's so scared of driving. So that's the reason my daughter married this year, June, so my family decided to be increased too. So original only 1 bedroom, the first floor, I think not enough for my family. So my husband, we now live in the West Windsor, the rural area, don't have any shopping center, don't have anything we can go outside in walking distance. It's because he cannot drive the car, working every day, so he always stays at the house. So we decide we want at the second floor, make more space so we can leave the Princeton. Also, it's good for him going to walking distance to shopping center, restaurant, and public library. He the doctor degree. He wants to do the research for food, for the nutrition, access to public library. In West Windsor, we have no way to go until I drive him every day. So also it's economic for me, become a working class, I have no extra money. So why add a small room, don't add the second floor, because I don't have enough money for that. So that's economic way for me at the second floor on the existing condition, because I finished my footing already. This cost me money for at the second floor. I don't want to do any open the second floor out all space. I have no money at all. So that's the reason I want to add the second floor for the family usage. So that's all. Sorry, my language may be not clear. So you have any question, please ask me.
So this extension of the house has a connection to the main part of the house inside as well?
Just inside, we had the basement can come up down to my new addition. Also for the existing permit, I finished my foundation, water and the plumbing, everything access the addition already. So cross from basement
It just goes through?
Yeah, through.
Yeah.
I'm unclear. You get in the house from the addition, other than in the basement?
Yes, just too close. Yeah, just close. We have the slab of concrete. It's flat there. It's come to the only 9 foot length because addition only minimum size, 9 foot wide.
I'm just confused because the first set of plans you submitted, did not appear that you could get into the main house from this addition without going through the basement. Is that the same?
Yes, because first time I drawing by myself, I didn't, so should be have the, let me check for my existing, should be have the drawing for the, I have a drawing for the.
See, I don't see a door to get into the house. That's why I was curious. It
Yeah,
just seems.
definitely the door.
Okay.
There's an interior door that couples it?
Well, there's a basement door and then there's stairs, but I.
Here, this door. You see this one access the basement.
So you go through the basement to get into the addition. It just seems very strange. That's why I was saying the use of the property, it seems like a separate unit, but.
It seems like 2 units.
That's.
It is cooking, it looks like there's a room for a kitchen here. I mean, it looks like a secondary residence as opposed to a simple addition. And the basement stair, it looks like it's very steep.
In the existing house, do you have 2 bedrooms?
Only 2 bedroom, yes.
And a kitchen and a dining room?
No dining room.
But
Only
kitchen.
1 living room and the kitchen.
And a bathroom?
Yeah, bathroom.
So the addition would have its own separate entrance, and it has 2 floors? The
No,
addition?
came from the basement, from basement to go there too.
But how do you go into it from the street?
The street?
Yeah, I mean, how do you walk in from the outside? Is this the front door? Here?
I have the door from my driveway as well.
From
my
the driveway?
No access the main street, the driveway.
Right, so you walk in and you have a living room and kitchen. What is the configuration inside?
No, not the kitchen. The first one, that's a bar, wet bar, no kitchen.
A wet bar?
Wet bar, no
Wet
kitchen.
bar, I see. Mhm.
It looks like the door to the addition is several steps lower than the door into the house. So you're gonna come, you have a door from the house into the addition, and you're gonna have steps in there?
Okay, the existing one, the inclusive part have the step going to basement.
No, but you said there was, so the only way to get between the two is to go down the basement and then back up into the addition.
No, the house from the basement can go into my addition. Also from my driveway can door go into my additional two. From my driveway can go into the basement and go to addition two.
It just looks like it looks like 2 units to me, that's all. I'm not.
But you can think of 2 units. For me, it's 1 unit because from my house, from the thing.
No, I understand, but that's
people,
why,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
People normally from your driveway, you can go to your dining room, go to the kitchen. So my wife from my driveway can go into my unit too. You can't reject me. I cannot go at the door.
Do you have a finished basement?
Yes.
And do you have, what's down in the basement now?
Down basement there have the small water bar and the bathroom there.
What? I'm sorry.
Bathroom.
Full back?
Yes.
What's the ceiling height in the basement? What's the ceiling height in the basement?
In the basement, it's a drop ceiling. No, not drop ceiling. It's a sheetrock ceiling. It's a
Full height basement?
full height. It's very low basement, like it's a 6 foot low basement. Yeah.
Can I ask another question? So why did you decide to make it on the side rather than either go up or to the
I
back?
don't have the money. It's the only thing. If I have the money, I don't have anything. I have the bad divorce for 4 years, and I just put all the money through the drain. If I had the money, don't have struggle, why don't at the second floor I have the printing space?
I see.
I guess it does sound pretty separate, and one question, and maybe someone knows whether Derek or architect, or would this even meet code?
Sorry?
The addition, and if your egress is going down to a basement and then coming back up, and
I don't know.
This sounds really,
I'm not sure.
I'm looking at the basement plan, it's got 5 steps that go the full height of the basement. It looks like to get down there, you've got 5 steps, and if it's a 7-foot basement, even a 7-foot basement, those are mighty high risers in there. And it seems like a very strange connection. I don't know if that's relevant to what we're talking about, but it's,
It just didn't flow like a regular floor plan. It seems like a separate unit. And I said, a flat is permitted, but not in this situation. She doesn't have the parking without a variance. You know, the way the current parking is, you would need 2 spaces for the house, another space for the flat. So,
is there a structural reason why you couldn't just cut a door in that back wall?
Sorry, what's your question? Can you repeat your question?
Is there a practical reason that you couldn't just cut a door between the back wall of the house that you now have? Or
No sidewalk.
Sidewalk, you can get into the living, dining area as far
no,
as
you
you
can,
can see.
the house is above one another, you can get from one to the other, except, I mean,
There's
there's a change in elevation.
Yeah, that's right.
And so it should be very easy to put a connection in there.
Yeah.
I'm just curious if there is no connection.
Well,
So,
I agree, it looks very much like 2 separate units. And it would seem to me, though, that you could put some entrance in the living dining that coupled to the main house, and that would solve the problem. I mean, that's not it doesn't even need a door there necessarily.
Yeah, you'd have to change the finished floor elevation of the new unit to match up with the...
Well, you'd have to step.
You just put 2 steps in.
It's such a tiny little thing. Look at putting steps into that new unit. You're going to be eating up, 3 or 4 feet of space for your treads.
Doing it this way, maybe
I agree.
but it looks like two separate.
I totally agree. I totally agree. If you're going to do that, it'd be practical to just raise your floor level of your first floor of the new addition so it's flush.
Board
Just
members,
eating 3 feet of
since you have a number of questions about the layout, and that goes to the variance as well, perhaps the applicant would like to come back with her architect, because the board has a lot of questions, and these are questions about the design, why it was laid out that way, and I think these are things your architect could answer. And maybe it's difficult for you to do that, you're not an architect, but your architect perhaps could address these questions that the board has.
So access is this one 2 ways, one from my basement to my addition, another one from my driveway to my addition, so 2 ways. And before open the door from my main kitchen to my new addition, but I have to raise the floor very high. For me, everything want to reduce the thing. For my husband, 74 years old, I can live there for 20 years until I have the money. Now I don't have any money to do anything. If I don't want proof, I just read 1 floor, just fine. I use my existing addition, but I don't want add any additional money. I have 1 job, I have 2 lot of debt from my divorce. My husband retired, have no money from England, like us here.
Come forward so we can get you talking into a microphone.
Yes, sir, we'll just swear you in. Do you swear affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful? Thank you.
I'm semi-retired. I work for the IMF as an advisor on infrastructure, and I know what you're doing, but I do massive infrastructure projects for the IMF and United Nations as an independent advisor. I've been doing this for... Yeah. My first wife was English. She was a judge in England, and she passed away. I've known Peng Lu for 18 years, because she worked for one of the foundations in England when she lived there. So I decided to move here. I got my 2 sons in England, and obviously they'd like to come over here and spend some time. One was here, but he was in Florida, where we've got, I bought a holiday home, and we're trying to, for me it's convenient in Princeton because I can go to the library. I'm doing a research doctorate in international public health and nutrition. I've already got a couple of doctorates already. It's just to keep the old gray matter going. I also have people who come in from Washington to meet me here from time to get advice. So for me, it's convenient. As she said, I'm not very happy about driving around in the States at the moment, but eventually I'll have to. So for now, I mean, this is what we're trying to, set up something that's convenient for me. I mean, she's trying to make the sacrifice for me, but we are both doing it. I am 5'10". I can walk down the basement, and there's quite about 7 or 8 inches above me when I walk in the basement. From the top floor to go into the basement, the stairs are not steep, but from the extension, it's only a 5-treader or something going down concrete. But the other one is a long stairs, and that's quite easy. But there's no problem. I mean, we have to have, as far as I know, you have to have a sort of fire escape. So there is an entrance from the side of the extension to go in, which also will serve as a fire escape. My kids would come over, so I need to, and then she has a daughter who's married, so we need to have the additional space. She's discussed it with the architect, a lot of toing and froing, and then we came up with this particular extension. It would cost more, as she said, in order to do it over the main building, because you'd have to lift the roof, much higher. So, I mean, that's the reason why it was done this way.
But with the existing, with the proposed structure,
Yes.
it seems to me that the issue of having a door connecting the new addition to the main house at ground level is not a very difficult thing. It's mainly a question of cutting a hole,
Well, there is a...
putting trim around it. If there's a drop like this, that's a couple of stairs on the addition side.
Well, that will interfere with the kitchen, because you have to go through from the kitchen into that area.
Well, you have,
And
you've
it's
got
about
living
4
room.
feet, I think. It's about a 4 feet drop.
Not the dining room, the original house, if I open the door, my kitchen is gone. I don't have the kitchen
Then you
there.
have to,
This so small kitchen, I can't open any door to go into the addition. If I open the door,
then you lose
stove,
space.
I don't have put stove any place. So my house is so tiny, it's so not functional. Yeah.
The bar and the sink you have, will there be cooking in there?
No, the bar is for us, like a night, going to put the microwave.
It says living or dining room.
It's architecture put there, we can watch the TV and live there.
Maybe you could take it out and just put a doorway there.
Don't visit the bedroom, the upstairs, the two bedroom, it's tiny house. If I open the door, then the bedroom is gone.
I would have an easier time if I could see how they connect.
Yeah, there's
So I
no,
can't-
you don't have a plan of your existing house, do you? There's no plan of the existing house? There's no
No,
plan of the existing house, so it's really hard to see how they connect.
okay, so I can put the additional house next time I give it to, okay, email to you and put the additional, what's the layout for existing house.
I think Karen's comment about the architect could address a lot of these items, because it just doesn't seem to make sense. At one point, you said it was going to be a real estate office. And for me, it couldn't be a real estate office. It's going to become this new semi-autonomous living area. So I think the board has questions, and why you're not answering? I mean, we're not going
Okay.
to...
So the rest office, I'm working at home, it's the office like that. I'm not really put my office like the office really. No, you have the real estate study place, not really to open the door, everyone comes. So that's every family you have the place, you want to study, office, that mean, not really come to put the labels that have business there. No way, I don't have that permit as well.
Are you ready for a motion? Mr. Chairman?
There's some people.
Are you here to make any comment? No.
Oh, by the way, my neighbor not object me to at the second floor. They all no problem for me to add the second floor for the setback issue of my neighbor.
I think we'd like to have some clarity about how the first floor works, because it does look right now like it's two different units. It does seem like it might be awkward for you to live in it, actually, if you were doing that kind of a move to get from one place to the other. So do you think you could get us a drawing of just the first floor and how it works?
Don't
Are you
understand.
talking about the first floor of the extension
Well,
or the first
maybe,
floor?
maybe we don't need to see the drawing, but maybe we need to specify that if we approve it, there is on the first floor a doorway connection between the old house and this extension
Well,
at that level.
I mean, are you willing to come back with an updated drawing and with your architect?
Yes, you said on the existing house, you want to see what the
Right.
structure link this one, yes.
And will your architect come and answer questions?
Yes, but ask whether he have a time, I can ask him first.
So you're asking for a continuance?
Yes.
Okay. So we've gotten to the point where she's asking for a continuance.
Okay.
Mr.
December the
Bridger,
25th?
is there room in the September? No.
I mean, if you bring your architect, it shouldn't be a long discussion, because I think he can provide clarity to the board,
Okay.
you know, and maybe address some of the concerns the board has at the next meeting, which is September, or we come with him prepared to address these, because we have a full agenda.
We have a list of the...
We do need to see a plan of the existing house, the existing first floor of the house.
Did you go to, there should be a plan of, building?
Yeah, but I didn't ask me, I didn't plan for in here, so.
All right, so you're prepared to come back on September 26th, and you'll bring your architect to answer the board's questions. And board members, you wanted a drawing of the first floor, the
Well,
existing?
we need to see the proper connection between the existing and the proposed extension. And I guess what we're saying is the one that is existing at present, which goes through the basement, is not an adequate connection as far as...
I think also just what we need is to be persuaded that it is that it is one unit and not two.
Yeah.
Well, it's truly an addition to a house, and part of that house as opposed to a standalone unit. It's got a separate entrance, it's got a living room, dining room with a space that seems to be a kitchen. It's a bath and a half.
Okay, so do we have a date that we can continue with?
We'll throw it on the beginning of the September meeting. Happy to meet with your architect if you want to.
So we'll bring it to the September.
Number 26, correct.
Okay. And do we need, if we do that, to send out?
You don't need to
ordinary
send
mail?
out notices again. I don't know if you want the applicant to do that first-class mailing. Okay. Then, yeah, you don't need to send out any notices again.
Okay.
You're okay for September
Just
26th?
come to bring my architect,
Yes.
plans, my existing house, the location.
Look at the list of the things you're objecting to.
Not objecting, it's just clarity, so.
Well, yes.
I'm happy to meet with both of you, your
I
architect.
won't be here, I'm off on a project in Africa.
No, he back to Yingling on the next time, September.
Pleased to meet with you and David.
Okay,
And
okay.
go through it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
All right. So, we are adjourned, is that right? And I guess we should take some of these pieces of paper home.